Did you hear? Netflix just bought Warner Bros. Discovery, a deal so big they straight up emailed all of their subscribers, perhaps the most audacious reply all ever done. Did your grandma really need to know about corporate synergy? Probably not. But the craziest part? It might not even happen. To give an extra quick recap, Netflix has made a deal with WB Discovery. However, this arrangement is already being scrutinized by some powerful voices who could legally prevent the acquisition from going through. If that wasn't enough, the only recently formed Paramount Skydance has entered the chat, speaking directly to the shareholders and counter-offering Netflix for a higher per-share price. But while these titans of new and old Hollywood battle, I can't help but think about the implications for the storied but troubled studios of WB Games. For those of you not keeping up with your corporate mergers, and who could blame you, there were multiple times over the past several years where the shifting owners have ominously kicked the tires of these developers. Back in 2020, AT&T gave a prolonged effort to sell off WB Games, but somewhere along the line they realized they wanted a gaming division after all. It's a story that never made much sense on its own given the bidders, but broadened out to the spin-off sale of Warner Bros. To Discovery, and WB Games was a part of that deal itself. So, how's that latest stewardship going? I think it's safe to say the results have been wildly inconsistent. In 2023, they straight up held the #1 game in all of the United States for the entire year with Hogwarts Legacy, a tremendously successful adaptation of the Harry Potter franchise, a property very much a part of the overall Warner Bros. Image. And on the flip side, oh boy, things have gone quite badly. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League can regularly be found for 95% off, call it a bit of good PR after the lukewarm reviews and an online revolt over the game's use of the character Batman. More on that guy in just a bit. And, well, they straight up shuttered Monolith Productions, creators of the acclaimed Shadow of Mordor series on top of so many others. Heck, I covered their entire history earlier this year in a separate video. I'll put the link in the description. Well, we sure don't know who's going to own WB Games in the near future, but let's at least go with what's agreed upon for now and say Netflix will acquire WB Games, hypothetically. It's a pretty interesting move compared to their previous owners because Netflix hasn't simply embraced video game adaptations, they've tripled down into the video game space, if only for mobile users. Yeah, I don't think most people are aware, but if you're subscribed to Netflix, you have access to Netflix Game, a full and impressive 90-plus game catalog for Android and iOS. And these aren't throwaway games either. The brand new mobile port of Red Dead Redemption 1 is available to all subscribers right now. And this is only continuing their trend of releasing Rockstar games, some of the largest properties in all of video games, essentially for free. And I do want to stress essentially because one of the first gripes users made when Netflix announced their games was an increase to subscription prices. Netflix has insisted this isn't an influencing factor to any sort of price increases. In fact, over the summer, the CEO of Netflix, Greg Peters, gave a full-throat endorsement in their gaming experiment, saying in no small part it will become a growing aspect of their budget.
We've seen those positive effects, albeit in a small way relative to the size of our overall business when it comes to members playing games on the service. We already have those positive proof points. And we're going to ramp our investment in this area, which is currently quite small compared to our overall content investment. We've seen good progress, as you note, with licensed games like GTA. We've seen good progress with games we developed like Squid Game Unleashed, so you'll see more from us in both of those categories.
The only real question is, what were those intentions beyond the purchase of WB Games? Were there always plans to expand to console and PC? Were there any plans for cloud streaming? Or would it simply have been more mobile titles as we've already seen? We just don't know, but by acquiring WB Games, they're joining all of the above and more. So what do you say we speculate a few of the cornerstones of WB Games through the lens of Netflix and see what we can come up with? Case in point, NetherRealm Games and their smash hit franchise Mortal Kombat. Who knew a 2D fighter like Mortal Kombat 1 could pull in over 6 million copies sold? Well, comparatively speaking, that's down from some 15 million copies sold by Mortal Kombat 11. But it's safe to say no matter what happens, NetherRealm is probably going to be just fine. Not to mention this gaming juggernaut is one of the early success stories of Pan Media, with the latest film adaptation Mortal Kombat 2 arriving in May of 2026, and a third film is already in development with the script being commissioned. MK has no shortage of crazy media, from the classic first film to the the extra gritty web series and multiple animations, it seems like this would line up with Netflix's own gaming series like Castlevania and Devil May Cry. But it shouldn't be overlooked how much of a presence Mortal Kombat has had on mobile devices. If that's what Netflix is primarily concerned with, NetherRealm Games can probably show them a thing or two. Although it should be noted, recent attempts like Mortal Kombat Onslaught haven't hit as strong, and NetherRealm lost significant employees from the mobile division due to layoffs during the leadership of Discovery. So if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat Mobile, it sounds like something Netflix would like too. Far less clear is what the future of DC Comics games would be. The current state of Batman-based games has been quite bad, especially because none of them portrayed Batman in the best light. First, there was Gotham Knights, which tried to upgrade the beloved Arkham franchise into a more open and co-op-based design. Some people liked it, other people were confused why Batman wasn't in it. Then Suicide Squad had players fighting to murder Batman, voiced by Kevin Conroy, a highly revered actor who sadly passed away after providing his lines. It wasn't meant to be disrespectful, but oh boy, social media disagreed. Netflix was among one of the earliest streaming services, and as such they've used user data to make decisions. In fact, they've gone out of their way to revive series like Arrested Development, Cobra Kai, and Black Mirror purely on the data they see. That could mean any of the DC games from Injustice to Arkham could get another go-around, including the alleged leaked plans for the futuristic follow-up to Arkham Knight that was sidelined years ago. And it feels pretty safe to say if they scour the internet for 5 seconds, they'll find any number of Reddit or social media posts asking where the next Batman game is. While there's some good news, the new LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is set to launch sometime in 2026. Far from the traditional LEGO Batman, this gives a grand overview of what Batman has been in comics, film, television, and cartoons, all told through the extra blocky vision of LEGO. And as previously mentioned, there's countless rumors all about a new Injustice game coming at some point. It's a pretty dense universe where the traditional DC alliances are upended by a sociopathic Superman. Would Netflix want to give that another animated treatment? Couldn't be much worse than the last one. But you know what? There's another area of development that's only recently broke through for Netflix. Party games. Yeah, in case you missed it, there's an extra games functionality now added to the TV version of the app, although it should be noted its current rollout means platforms are still updating. Currently, people can play classics like Pictionary and Boggle, as well as more modern affair like Party Crashers and Lego Party, in addition to classic video games such as Centipede and Tetris. If you'll allow me to get extra speculative, it's clear they're looking for low-impact games that can run on televisions and set-top boxes, or at least they're experimenting in that field. If this WB Games deal goes through, they will also become the owners of the arcade powerhouse properties from Midway Games and Williams Electronics. We're talking formative classics like Robotron and Defender, or some extra 90s cheese like Revolution X or Narc. Let's not pretend these would be arcade perfect, but anyone who's goofed around with emulators know they can function, albeit compromised on television OS, or much more ably on a set-top box. Netflix has made claim for the awkward, often forgotten properties that feel rooted in their era, thanks in no small part to the extra popular and super nostalgic Stranger Things franchise. If Netflix is intent on serving that audience who loves 80s nostalgia, they will have acquired one of the most recognizable libraries of that time period. Who's up for some Spy Hunter? Or, you know, none of that could happen. Yeah, that's the annoying part about business. All the parts can line up and the deal ultimately falls to pieces. We already know there's a hostile takeover that will be targeting shareholders, hoping to buy them out at a much higher rate. But sadly, there's some other reasons to think WB Games is already in trouble. In short, acquisitions are expensive, and once they're made, the new owners begin to look for redundancy, or in lieu of that, cuts to overhead, allowing for on-paper savings. Will Netflix look to Rocksteady or WB Games Montreal for cuts? We sure hope not, but if they review this division by pure metrics, there's clearly a lot of money, but have they brought in much profit? These are the sort of questions all areas of WB will be asked regardless of who ultimately acquires them. Frankly, the current state of acquisition sees value in properties, but not always in high-cost productions like ongoing game studios. Once they own the IP, do they even need the developers? If you're a video game fan like me, you know how intrinsically important the chemistry between teams is, but it's also just as easy for an accountant to write down previously anticipated games. Not to be all doom and gloom, but you know it's true. The world of business doesn't always align with the hopes of fans. Every time the new owners have looked over WB Games, they may have ended projects, they may have shifted focus, they may even have closed famous studios, but WB Games endured. However, this also closely followed disappointing releases. Again, we have a promising future game in LEGO Batman. Here's hoping it can break the pattern and restore some of its tarnished legacy. Will Netflix be able to find a way to thread the needle? Here's hoping so, because for what it's worth, WB Games still contains some of the best franchises and game studios to have existed that will long outlive the next business decision. But that's just my take. How about yours? Give a chat back in the comments about what you want from WB Games, who you want to acquire WB Discovery, and what you think Netflix could bring to the table. Keep clicking around here at GameRant.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody.